Lunchtime news here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Janata. News First, where the people come first. Let's first take a look at the headlines.
Sri Lankans across the United States join hands with the people's struggle. Series of letters handed over to Senate and the US Congress requesting save Sri Lanka from the Rajapaksas. Tanker owners continue strike, many filling stations closed. Sri Lanka prefers inclusive distribution of aid, says India's Jay Shankar.
On to those stories in detail. The people's protest at Gotagama in front of the President's office at the Golface Green in Colombo is ongoing.
Events last night were centered around the rights of the working class. This is the first ever occasion where the May Day was commemorated in Sri Lanka, focusing on a single request. The request was for the government that dragged the country to an economic crisis to resign. Certain trade unions arrived at the protest site near the President's office representing the general public.
Gotabaya is trying to establish an interim government. They are making plans to stay in power. What they stole is massive. Maybe that is why they can't go. 6.9 million, 2 years into power. There is no May Day, no rally. The May Day is not happening only for the Rajapaksas. It is not for everyone. That itself is a victory. For 23 days, people have clearly asked Gotabaya Rajapaksa to go home. During the May Day message, they are saying to forget about the past mistakes and move forward. Will we forget those mistakes just like that? We will not. They will have to pay for them. The stolen wealth should be given back.
By midnight, the protest site was filled with people. National boxer Dinidu Saparamadu, who engaged in a protest march from Giriola, arrived at the Gotagama protest site this morning.
The people are struggling with problems. We came to the protest site because we can't tolerate it anymore.
Meanwhile, the protest opposite temple trees demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and the government is continuing today as well. The protest opposite temple trees at the site dubbed Mainagogama is continuing for a week.
This struggle is to remove the corrupt rulers. Listen to these youngsters. Their intention is pure.
We do not need temporary solutions to our demands. Why can't the rulers understand this? Why are they still in office? The fast carried out at Mainagogama is happening for 5 days. The group engaged in the fast has refused treatment today. I am a patient obtaining insulin, yet I am fasting here. I will not obtain any medical treatment from now on. I refuse all of it. The people of this country do not have food to eat. Children are in hunger. This government is toying with the people of the country. This useless government must resign. 15 people who were detained and later granted bail for protesting close to the president's private residence in Mirihana Nugegoda were summoned to the Criminal Investigations Department today.
A large number of lawyers were present at the CID to represent the group of 15.
මිරිහාන සිද්ධියේදී 54 දෙනෙකු පොලිසිය අත්අඩංගුවට ගත්තා.
54 people were arrested by the police in connection to the incident in Mirihana. Not only that, they inhumanly assaulted a majority of them. When they were produced before the courts, the reason why the magistrate granted bail in the first instance was due to no evidence being available against the protesters for destroying public property or engaging in an act of sabotage. Even though many photographs and videos of the people who set fire to the vehicles are available, police have failed to arrest any one of them. Also, the residents are alleging a team of a businessman who has links with the government was the reason behind it. It is reconfirmed there is no arrests have been made yet. Against such a backdrop, these people have been summoned to the CID to obtain statements. When the people who stole and caused destruction to the community are at large, the fact that the CID summoned these innocent people who were affected took to the roads cannot be justified whatsoever. Accordingly, all the lawyers are dedicated to the justice of these people.
යනුව මේ අය වෙනුවෙන් නීතිඥවරු, තරුණ නීතිඥවරු, ඒ වගේම ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ නීතිඥවරු සියලු දෙනාම මෙයට සාධාරණ ඉෂ්ට කිරීම සඳහා අප කැප වෙලා ඉන්නවා කියන කාරණය මේ අවස්ථාවේදී අපි මතක් කරන්න සූදානම්.
The lawyers were also present at the CID when the group was at the premises to provide statements.
පාර්ශව 15කට අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව
15 people were summoned by the CID to obtain statements. We all know the problem in the country at present. When problems such as the sugar scam, garlic scam are still unresolved, the CID is wasting their valuable time hunting down the people who took to the streets to find a solution to a problem in their lives.
තමන්ගේ ජීවිතය පිළිබඳ වූ ප්‍රශ්නයක් උදෙසා අරගලයක් කරන්න පාරට බැහැපු ජනතාව දඩයම් කරන්න.
The Sri Lankan students community in the United States of America organized a series of protests on May Day in solidarity with their fellow citizens at home who are engaged in a people's struggle.
The protests were staged covering all 50 states of America by Sri Lankans residing in the country who volunteered for this cause. They also virtually connected live with the people who are protesting at Gogotagama in Colombo. The Sri Lankan expatriates in America also signed a series of letters requesting that the wealth and the income of Rajapaksas who hold US citizenship be investigated and to save Sri Lanka from the Rajapaksas. The letters are to be submitted to the Senate and the US Congress.
ඔබලත් එක්ක ලංකාවේ අපිට බැරි වුණාට අරගල කරන්න අපි හදවතින් ඔබලත් සමගයි.
Around 80 filling stations across the island were forced to close down due to the trade union action launched by the owners of the tankers transporting fuel.
The tanker owners transporting fuel entered into a trade union action as a result of not increasing their fee even though the fuel prices were increased. A discussion with the Minister of Energy was held at the premises of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation in Kolonnawa.
Ministers were changed 3 times during the last 3 months. There is no agenda. We cannot be patient anymore. We will not give a single vehicle. We will guarantee it.
Certain filling stations had run out of fuel due to the non-delivery of fuel over the weekend.
I'm at a fuel station in Maligawatla where the trade union action that was launched by the Sri Lanka Petroleum Private Tankers Association is still continuing. So as you can see, there's a long queue of vehicles here to get the fuel. So the reason behind this is due to the fuel prices in the country, many fuel stations across the country are closed, which is why in stations which the fuel are existing, people are here in long queues to get the fuel.
Filling stations in and around Kandy were closed due to the strike action launched by the tanker owners. A long queue was reported at a filling station in Kandy that issued only petrol since this morning. In a tweet, Minister Vijay Sekhara said, quote-unquote, operations are underway at CPSTL terminals and depots to distribute fuel. Trains, government-owned and dealer-owned tankers are being utilized for transportation. The minister has also decided to revoke the licenses of the fuel tankers, which do not report for duty in the next 2 days, and to revoke the licenses of the vehicles of those who attempt to prevent other tankers from reporting for duty. Further legal action will be taken against them. Minister of Power and Energy Kantana Vijay Sekhara further noted that fuel terminals will operate 24 hours to ensure continuous distribution of fuel.
Taking a look at that news item once more, around 80% of filling stations across the island were forced to close down due to the trade union action launched by the owners of the tankers transporting fuel. Moving on, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is heading a meeting today between the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and the group of MPs who announced their move to remain independent from the government. The meeting at the President's house commenced at 11 a.m. The group of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna MPs who announced their move to remain independent of the government met the President for the first time before the Sinhala and Tamil New Year as per a request they made. Thereafter, a second round of discussions were held regarding a series of proposals where it was proposed that a new cabinet of ministers be appointed by a national council, which is not an established provision under the constitution. Today is the third round of discussions in this regard. General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Attorney Law Sagara Karyawasam, said the series of proposals submitted by the independent MPs with regard to the formation of interim government will be taken up for discussion during the meeting. Representing the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, the party's chairman, Minister Professor G.L. Piris, Sagara Karyawasam, former Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksha and Sanjeeva Edirimanna are set to attend the meeting. Representing the group of independent MPs, Nimal Siripala de Silva, Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, Vimal Veeravansha, Udaya Gammampila and Tiran Alas will attend the meeting. This was confirmed to News First by MP Mahinda Amaravira. In more local news, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna parliamentarian Dilan Pereira says former governor of the central bank, Ajit Niwad Cabral, and other authorities, including PB Jayasundara, must be held responsible for the prevailing economic crisis in the country. He made these remarks at a media briefing held in Badulla yesterday.
What is required now is a stable government. If we make a government with all the parties and Dallas Alaha Peruma as the Prime Minister, it will be much easier to obtain aid from international community. Ajit Niwad Cabral functioned under our government. He was our so-called economic expert. Now it has been proven that he is not. Let's admit that. It was wrong to appoint someone like him. It was wrong to appoint PB Jayasundara, who ruined the economies. Let's admit that first of all. We have made the correct decision even though it is late. The new central bank governor is suitable.
Former State Minister Roshan Ranasinghe, addressing a May Day rally in Polonnaruwa yesterday, stated that a political deal had been set up to remove him from the post of State Minister of Mahaweli.
Dudley Sirisena is saying they moved the Mahaweli ministry from Roshan to another person by paying 500 million rupees. The reason why they gave 500 million was if Roshan stays as the minister of Mahaweli, the political journey of his brother will be over. It is a threat to his brother.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaisankar says that Tamil Nadu government's assistance can supplement what is being provided by the government of India, and informed that Sri Lanka prefers inclusive distribution. This is after Tamil Nadu Assembly passed a resolution seeking permission to supply rice and essential medicines as aid to Sri Lanka.
The resolution piloted by Chief Minister M.K. Stalin was unanimously passed by the House, including the opposition AIA-DMK and the BJP. Dr. Jaishankar, in a letter addressed to Chief Minister Stalin, said that the mission in Colombo was consulted over Tamil Nadu's request. Commenting on the proposal by the government of Tamil Nadu to provide humanitarian assistance to Sri Lanka, Dr. Jaishankar noted the TN government can direct TN Chief Secretary to coordinate with the Government of India for supplying the relief material.
Meanwhile, Bharatiya Janata Party leader of Tamil Nadu, K. Annamalai, engaged in a tour in Jaffna today. K. Annamalai visited the Nallur Kovil in Jaffna and obtained blessings. He also visited the spiritual reader Srila Sri Somachundara Jnana Sambandha Paramacharya. Three suspects have been arrested in connection to an incident that took place in Kandulla Kuliyapitiya, where a person died after a motorbike and a defender collided into each other. Police stated that among the arrested, one was the driver of the vehicle and the other was a 14-year-old. The victim of the accident was a 39-year-old. The police further stated that after the accident, the defender had been completely destroyed as area residents had set the defender on fire. In your weather update this afternoon, the Met Department states that more than 100 millimeters of rain is expected in the western and southern provinces today as well. The Department of Meteorology said that heavy showers will occur in the Batiklo and Ampara districts and in Uva province during the evening or night. And that brings us to an end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, where the people come first, I'm Sanita Senanayaka. Take care and stay safe.